It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
Freeman Michaels here with Barnet Bain. Love Kute.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, Kute is a...
Beautiful spirit.
Kute is a incredible guy.
Yeah.
He's a one-of-a-kind guy. This is a guy who is so unique. This is the kind of guy who I love because he reminds me of what is possible. He reminds me that I don't have to, that there is such a thing as people, ordinary people that I can relate to, not ordinary at all, but people that I can relate to, and that I am, that are the same as me, and that we can just shatter the thinking, that we can just play bigger and play larger, and he knows how to play. So he's an inspiration. He really is an inspiration. He knows how to play, and he knows how to be a giver. And if I come through at the end of my life and I have learned how to consciously create play and success, and I have learned how to love more, then it will have been all that I could have asked for.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Yeah. It's hard for us. It's hard for us to trust. And so much of our belief structure is that it's a zero-sum game. And
well, we were raised in a culture that in every institution regards it as a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
There's only so much pie.
Right.
And
if you get a piece, then I'm going to get one piece less.
I'm going to get one piece less, and I have my rice bowl, and if I have to, your kids can't eat, so mine can eat, and that is it's a worldview. It's a worldview that is closed system, closed source, to use a programmer's analogy, but it is not the only. It is not the only worldview. Now, the mind instantly goes berserk when we say that. It instantly just goes absolutely berserk with logic and reason. Not
only the mind.
Life doesn't end at logic and reason.
Yeah.
There's more to logic. There is more to life than logic and reason. But control ends at the border of logic and reason.
And what is going berserk is, look, we've attached our hurts, we've attached our disappointments to a storyline, if you will, that isn't sufficient to hold them or care for them. It's self-perpetuating. So look, the story I tell about how the world works, at this point in my life, even though I still repeat it, see the ineffectiveness, see it as for what it is. It's hollow. It's like the hollow egg as we come up on Easter, that you think, oh, it's so beautiful. It has tinsel and foil on the outside, and you get to it, and it's this very thin layer with nothing inside. That is very much...
That's also a story.
Sure.
I mean, maybe it has something great inside. It depends on how you hold the story.
Right.
If we can get to a place, and it's per every individual,
right?
And every individual comes to a place in their own cadence and in their own timing, where they begin to have an assessment of the stories that they've lived by, and they begin to understand that how few of them are original, how most of them are inherited, and they begin to understand that. Is this really an inviolable explanation of life?
Yeah.
And
that's actually precisely what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ladder being up against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the foundation being these precepts and these notions that aren't substantial, and coming at a point in life to recognize that there's far more reliable things.
Just new things.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are both at a place in our lives where we are examining these issues really closely. And in my own experience, there's the part of me that feels there's a part of me that is thrilled and excited, and then there's a part of me that is really attached to those old models and thinks, well, it was empty and it didn't feel good.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
But I don't feel
I don't want to do that.
It isn't empty and it didn't feel
I agree
good.
with you.
It's that absent in filmmaking we have a notion of characters as being proactive. You're an actor and you know this. You want a character to be proactive. You don't want them to be reactive. But unfortunately in life, more often than not, we are reactive and we don't necessarily love and grow with a fiery passion as often as we react to hurts.
Right.
And that's what pushes us into growth. But I don't think our soul is waiting for us to be disappointed to love and grow. Although if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Then that's what it takes. So unfortunately, often I can get up that ladder of success and say it was hollow and feel empty. But it doesn't have to be that way. I can also get to the ladder of success and think, well, that was fun. And what could be even more fun? Might it be even more fun to get off this ladder altogether and get onto something else? Maybe it would be even more fun to be a giver than to be it was pretty fun being a getter. But maybe it'd be even more fun to be a giver.
Well, and look, I mean, I think that part of what I personally am picking up is the pieces of my construct that I bought into, based on the programming from the tribe, the condition that said, if I play by the rules and I get my reward, and then that's happily ever after. And I've done that. And many times I got to some pinnacle of some benchmark of success, and it was hollow. It didn't have the level of fulfillment I had anticipated.
Yeah.
Other more magical, spontaneous moments have been greatly fulfilling. What it has taught me personally is that there are other capacities that I can bring on board that are, for me right now,
like
more
what?
reliable. Well, okay, so we started talking about thinking as a way of processing everything. Everything's crunched down vis-a-vis logic and reason. You and I have been talking about it for a year and a half, that we're opening to more intuition, more of a feeling sense. And that then opens a whole myriad of possibilities that before seemed very hard to achieve. Like, what does that look like? Because I can't think my way into it. It's not.
Well,
a
here's the
process.
really great news that comes up for me when you say that.
Okay.
We, because we were raised in breathing the air of logic and reason, and eating the food of logic and reason. We only know logic and reason, and so a lot of the moving beyond logic and reason involves reacting and breaking out of it. And however, we didn't have models of people who were functioning more and more, adding other bits, adding other resources. Right. We didn't have a model of that. Your children do. And they may not have as much, it may not be as challenging for them. I dare say probably they are already straddling what were once closely held stories.
Yeah.
They already have a foot in that story and a foot in something more loosey-goosey beyond. I don't know what it is for them. It's per every individual. But as we live more and more into that, and we are modeling that there are other possibilities in the way that Kute Blackson for me models an entirely different relationship with life. This is a buddy of mine, so it's not like, well, this is some special. He is a special being, but this is some like guy that I can't relate to. This is just like a pal who has a totally different relationship to life.
He does. And if you hear his background, you kind of get where he has these moments where his world was constructed differently, and he was exposed to different things. I think the piece that I guess I'm alluding to, if I kind of track back a bit, is when folks go on these, he doesn't call them vision quests, but that's kind of what they are. These I can't remember the language he's using for it, but basically where their construct is questioned, where some of the things they've relied on and identified with are in essence taken away.
I call them the Humpty Dumpty expeditions.
Yes. No,
you
that's
fall
right.
off the wall and then you put yourself back together again, because the king's horses
can't do it.
nobody can do it. Only you can do it.
Yeah, and I think most of the people that go through that process
get the yoke.
even though it's terrifying at first, it's a relief in the end because there's an opportunity to let go of something that wasn't substantial in the first place. All this investment,
your life has been, my life has been substantial. It's just not.
It's more substantial now.
It's developmental.
Okay, but I'm more. Yes, I agree with you. It is developmental.
It's developmental, so it's not fair.
I'm really grateful for all the ways that my construct has come apart, even though going through all of those things,
yes,
in large part was excruciating.
Yes.
I'm talking about divorce, death of one of my closest family members, my business coming apart, all those sorts of things where everything that I had constructed, the story, if you will, that I said, this is true, this is it, this will get me there. And either it didn't, or it came apart, and I realized that's not what I really want to be doing anyhow.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, I hear you.
I think the idea of consciously dissolving the construct, which is what's happening when folks do this. I mean, it's a conscious way of dissolving the construct. You know you're doing it, and you're going through it in dare I say, a safe-ish way. I mean, I know that Kute's having people for dramas. I mean, and I think, it's fine. They're writing their last will and testament and doing all these things. But he's a reliable guy. We both know him. And so he's trustworthy in the sense that you can go with him to Bali or to India or whatever and go on this journey. And
go with him to lunch.
It's much easier to just go to lunch with him.
Kute, let's go to lunch, brother.
Right. All I'm saying is that's in my mind, that's a gentler way than having everything come apart.
Yeah,
I think it's
I agree.
foresight to
I
say,
agree.
look, I'm going to do this because I know it's
people.
not
People, they work where they are. You have been on this particular exploration for very, very, very many years. And if you had come to it more recently, you might require, or you might feel that you require a more dramatic outer experience in which to. I mean, even the language of breaking apart a construct. I held that language for many, many years, and I don't anymore. I'm not breaking apart anything. I am. Loving.
I know. I agree with you on that too. I totally.
And I don't.
Because I'm not trying to demonize.
It's not just language.
Yeah.
I feel it. Very, very. It's very real for me.
Yeah.
That I have a understanding of all those parts of all those habits, all of that desire, all of those feelings, all of that lust for status and for money and for power and for recognition and all of that stuff. I now have compassion. I understand it. It was it's okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. It's too easy to judge it. It's not so easy to say. Coming in the context of my experience, it made perfect sense.
Right.
And so I understand it. I don't want to break it. I'm not at war with it.
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, look, I think that what you're talking about is ultimately going to be a part of the process. So even if someone goes and they have this experience outside of their normal, everyday sensibilities,
eventually they're going to love it.
Eventually they do have to love it. I agree with you, because then our lives, and we see this, people who react and then disassociate from the self they've been, and we call it a spiritual premature transcendence syndrome, the desire to not be that thing that we're now pushing down and rejecting and denying and calling out as negative. It isn't. It's just development.
Every piece comes along.
Yeah, every piece has to come along. I agree with that.
Every piece comes along. And every piece, the outer world did not satisfy those needs, and we projected onto it. And so now I realize, wow, but I can satisfy those needs for all those lesser, not less than, but all those lesser parts of myself that I hear from every time I was triggered. I'm triggered. I was triggered before we got on the air. We were in a conversation, you and I, that triggered me, and I listen to it, and it takes me either a no time or some time or a lot of time to find my balance and to know what part is feeling left out or deprived, and to understand it. I love it. I don't have to be at war with it, but just to love it. It all comes along. The outside world's not going to fix it. only I can fix it. Only I can heal it. But you can have the benefit of great friends,
Beautiful.
great co-hosts, great buddies like Kute Blackson, who
Wonderful
can take
man.
you around the world. At least you get a decent bowl of curried rice in Bali.
Food is great in Indonesia. Hey,
And it's
listen, with that, and it's a beautiful segue, we have to say goodbye to all of our good friends. We hope that if you enjoy the show that you will pass it along to friends. We invite you to join us on Facebook, and we invite you...
Like us on Facebook, will you?
Like us. Don't just come there, like
Just
us.
like us, because we need external validation.
That's right.
After when all is said and done, we need to process that.
And we invite you, of course, to keep coming back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.